بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. If we have any questions tonight from the disciples online, then we'll try to take them now بإذن الله تعالى.
Questioner NS from Ottawa, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. May Allah reward you with the best in this life and the next. What is said regarding jinn possession in the Quran, Sunnah, and in authentic Islamic scholarship? I have noticed that there is a growing group of people who say they reject it due to a lack of evidence and that it is merely a cultural phenomenon. Is there any validity to their claim?
Bismillah. Question says, with regards to jinn possession, what's the proof from the Kitab, the Sunnah, that it's real, whereas there's a upcoming trend? Many people say it's just a cultural phenomena, etc. To keep things brief, when you talk about jinn possession, and you talk about sorcery or magic, black magic, white magic, evil eye, hasad, from the things that prove that, number one, they're real, and number two, not only are they real, but there is an effect, there's an impact of sihr, of jinn possession. From the things that prove these 2 points is that they are still being spoken about. They still exist. It's impossible for all of these different centuries and years and decades, nations, continents, countries, tribes, religions, political, financial, economic backgrounds, and for it still to remain, and for it to be totally false and bogus and have no foundation whatsoever. Is everything that is said about jinn possession real or accurate? Does everyone who says that they have a jinn in them actually have a jinn in them? Not necessarily. But from the proofs that these things are real is that they are still in existence. And if it was totally fake and false and had no basis, it wouldn't have remained. And it wouldn't be something which is universally mentioned in every culture, every religion, and of all people. That's what I would say in brief. As far as the proofs of the Kitab and the Sunnah, then they can be found in their proper places, not in a short summarized answer. And Allah knows best.
Sarah H. Muhammad from Cairo, Egypt. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. My brother has been talking to a non-mahram girl on the phone. Is it okay to check out his phone to inform my parents?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. If you can, try to speak with your brother first. And don't necessarily go through his phone or check his phone or spy on him. Check or speak to your brother first, regardless of your brother, your relationship with him, what type of religious practice he's upon. Speak to your brother first. And if you know, or you believe, or you feel that what he's doing is wrong, it's haram, then tell him that. Explain it to him. Advise him. Try to provide a better alternative, a replacement for the way or the mode or the method that he's using to talk to this non-mahram girl. And what is he talking to the non-mahram girl for? For marriage, for girlfriend, boyfriend, for socializing, Islamic dating, quote unquote, etc. What's important is talk to your brother first. And if he can listen to you, and you can provide him with the proper proofs and evidences to show what he's doing is wrong and it's haram, then that's best. There's no need to necessarily go to the parents. If he's not going to listen, or he didn't listen, or he won't listen, or you can't explain it, then that's a different story. Or if the fear of Allah isn't the dominant factor which will cause him to stop doing whatever is haram, and is only the punishment and the discipline of his parents, then that's a different story. Try to resolve it between you and him before you include a third or a fourth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.
AC, London, UK. Assalamu alaikum. With regards to bridal parties in Al-Islam, is it permissible for the female folk to celebrate? I heard it is a sunnah, or can it just be men at the time of the nikah?
Question comes from London, UK, with regards to bridal showers or bridal parties. Can men and women both participate? Is it just for the women, just for the men, etc.? What's important is, it is from the sunnah to have a walima, as the Prophet ﷺ clearly explained. Awlim walau bishah. He says, have a walima even if it's just one sheep. Don't avoid the walima. So the walima is a good thing to do, and according to some of the people of knowledge, it's mandatory and obligatory. So therefore, the walima, everyone should be invited. Men, women, children, wealthy, middle class, and those who are needy or poor. As far as men and women coming to the walima, then there's no difference than any other act of unity or congregation, in which there are rules, there are rulings, and there are guidelines and regulations for the mixing of sexes. When it is or isn't halal, when it's haram, what's meant by free mixing. Do they have to be in a different building or just a different room? Does it have to be a curtain, a screen, etc.? There are rulings. What's important is the men should come and eat and make dua, give their blessing bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, and the women should come and eat and do the same as well. And the rulings of mixing and congregating between sexes is no different than any other type of meeting, a class, and the list goes on. The masjid, when the sexes are in one place, the rulings of that, Allah knows best.
Sophia Jawara, Assalamu alaikum, from Silver Spring, Maryland. I'm thinking about studying mortuary science, which includes embalming, which I will have to study and most likely practice to get my degree. What should I do, as I don't plan on doing embalming after I graduate, but will need to get the degree?
Question from Silver Springs, Maryland, regarding embalming and becoming a professional, a trained professional, professionally educated in these different sciences. We've explained this on Mufti Q&A with regards to learning how to be a barber, learning how to be a professional banker, learning the different sciences of finance and economics, etc. And we said in brief that if your science is something that the Muslims need, if your profession, if your career, if your proper training is something that the Muslims need in their daily lives, then it becomes mandatory for some Muslims and certain Muslims to learn it and practice it. Not all, but some. The Muslims have to have a funeral parlor. The Muslims have to have hairstylists. The Muslims need butchers. The Muslims need bankers. We need Islamic banks, Muslim banks. This is a necessity. We need certain things living in 2018 in the United States. So with that being said, certain Muslims have to learn certain things. And the only way that you can become certified or accredited or become an actual professional and open up your own place and then Islamify it is to do certain haram things in the beginning, like the barber. You have to learn how to shave someone's face with a straight razor. You have to learn how to do certain hairstyles on a woman to get your license. And then later on you have an Islamic barber shop, in which is no haram this, no haram that. If that's the case, and there are many other things that the Muslims must avoid with regards to earning a living, then bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully it will be permissible with those conditions. Inshallah ta'ala, it will be permissible with those conditions based off of the need and the necessity of the Muslims living as minorities in the United States. And Allah knows best.
MS, Washington, D.C. What should you do after reading the verse of sujood at the end of Surah Najm during the Maghrib prayer? Should you go into ruku and do the sujood after the prayer, or do the sujood?
Please repeat the question, please.
What should you do after reading the verse of sujood at the end of Surah Najm during Maghrib prayer? Should you go into ruku and then do sujood after the prayer, or do you do sujood right then and stand back up to read another surah?
You make the sujood when it's time to make the sujood. whether Surah Al-Najm or any other surah in the Quran al-Kareem, and which is a place of sujood. Once you recite that ayah, you make the sujood, regardless whether it's obligatory or regardless whether it is recommended. You make the sujood, and then you go back up and you finish the rak'ah, whether you start a new surah or whatever you have to do. Allah knows best.
MB, Brampton, Ontario, Canada. Assalamu alaikum. Are you supposed to pray Tahiyyatul Masjid even during khutbah?
With regards to making the Tahiyyatul Masjid during the khutbah, do you make it? Should you make it? We say yes. You walk into the masjid and the imam is speaking, make 2 rak'ah before you sit down. Allah knows best.
HS, Ontario, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. May Allah preserve you. If someone comes late to the salah, when should they get up to finish the remaining rak'at? After the first or second taslim?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you as well. With regards to the one who comes late to the salah, when are they to stand up and finish their salah? After the first or after the second taslim? Perhaps the safest thing to do is to wait for the imam to make his second taslim. Perhaps the safest thing to do is to wait for the imam to make his second taslim. Is it haram to stand up after the first taslim? What's important is that once the imam does something that's not from your prayer outwardly, then you leave him. Sitting in the tashahhud, you're not making the tashahhud. It's his 4th rak'ah. It's only your 3rd or your 2nd and his 3rd, etc. Whatever the case is, you still sit because that's an outward action of the salat that you have to follow the imam therein. But him making the taslim is him beginning the exiting of his prayer. And it's no longer a part of your prayer anymore, so you leave him. So whether it's permissible to start in the first or after the first, or safest to make your rak'ah stand up after the second to avoid any differences and avoid any confusion. With regards to what do the scholars of Islam say about an imam leaving the prayer with only 1 taslim and the fard salah, not the night prayer. So to be safe and to keep yourself on the safe side, stand up, inshallah ta'ala, after the second taslim. Allah Azza wa Jal is al-muwaffiq wal-hadi.
Assalamu alaikum. OS from Columbus, Ohio. Is a man shaving his back or chest hair disliked for being feminine, or does it have to do with keeping the body clean?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. With regards to a man shaving his chest or his back, is it considered to be feminine or is it a means of cleanliness and hygiene? I would say it depends on the man, on the race, and on the amount of hair. There are certain brothers or certain men or certain races that are very, very hairy, extremely hairy, and which hair covers most of their body, arms, fingertips, knuckles, nose, ears, hair everywhere. And then there are certain brothers that aren't from certain races that have a little bit of hair, or quote unquote, whatever it is supposed to mean, normal amount of hair on their chest or their back, normal or moderate. So this brother from this nationality and this brother from this nationality or race is a bit different. Hair is normal. There is unnormal for this person from this background to have this amount of hair on his back. It will be considered to be abnormal. And here it's normal. So in this situation, we may say, don't shave that hair because it could be feminine or taghyir khalqillah. And we may say to this brother, is he have so much hair, you may have the ability to cut it, to shave it. Or even in the middle path, don't shave the hair, but just trim it and cut it down. Whereas a person sweats abundantly, perspires abundantly, you may get an undesirable smell, and the list goes on. So it depends on the brother and on the person, and it also depends on the intention. You shaving your chest and your back because it's hot, you sweat a lot, it's difficult when you sleep, scratches your back, or because you want to look like a young little boy and you want to be bald all over your entire body and you don't want the hair to remind you that you're a man and that you're old. So that's very important as well. Allah knows best.
Salam. Shamli Mohammed from Toronto, Canada. Is it permissible to sell things that are haram, like alcohol, musical items, to non-Muslims?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Shamli, may Allah bless you and reward you. The scholars of Islam, they say that a Muslim should not sell unlawful things to non-Muslims. He shouldn't sell non-lawful things to non-Muslims, regardless whether it's haram upon them or not. هل الكفار مخاطبون بفروع الشريعة أم لا? Are the non-Muslims responsible for the subsidiary fiqh rulings of the deen? We know that they're responsible for iman, and they will be punished for not having iman. But will they be held responsible hereafter for eating swine, for making zina, for drinking, for gambling? Or is these things specific to the Muslims? What's important is whether they are or whether they aren't, the Muslims should not do it, because وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Don't make things, don't cooperate upon things which are sin and transgression. And the Prophet's hadith, that whenever Allah makes haram upon the people a thing, حَرَّمَ عَلَيْهِمْ ثَمَنَهُ. Then He makes the income, the profit from that unlawful thing, unlawful as well. And Allah knows best.
Khidr Nasir from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I saw in a video a brother explained that winking is impermissible as it is khiyana. Is winking in all aspects impermissible? What does khiyana mean?
Question coming from Kuala Lumpur. I heard someone say that winking is haram, whereas it is khiyana. Is winking absolutely haram, and what does khiyana mean? First and foremost is winking, or the khiyana, is translated to mean deception or treachery, cheating someone, backstabbing someone, deceiving someone. All right, that's a rough translation of the word khiyana. Obviously, there are different types of treachery, different aspects and different dimensions. Khiyana with regards to wealth, with regards to one's honor, etc. All right. Winking, I don't think winking is absolutely haram. You may have your young child and you're doing something to amuse them that's not haram, and you wink at them. Or there may be a young man that admires an Islamic leader or an Islamic scholar, and he catches him staring at him and gazing at him, and he winks at him like, like, I see you too, may Allah bless you. It's not treachery, it's not deception, it's not khiyana. Now, winking at somebody, flirting with them, winking at someone to send a message that you got it or you want to take it, that's a different story. That's a different story. So we have a hadith that's authentic from the Prophet ﷺ that says that you cannot wink. Winking is deception. فَبِهَا وَنِعْمَتْ. Then that's an excellent thing we have to go towards. And if we don't have that, then it remains permissible, unless it's used in a way or a context or whatever the case may be, which makes it haram. And Allah knows best.
IB, London, UK. Assalamu alaikum. I'm 20 and want to get married, inshallah, due to high desires. But I feel my character in general is not the best. Should I delay marriage? And how can I look for a righteous spouse if I am lacking? Jazakallahu khair.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Question coming from London. With regards to looking for a spouse, a person has bad character, they have high sex drive, hypersexual or high sexual desires, etc. What do they do? Wait or look for the spouse, etc. No. No one is perfect. Perfecting your character is an ongoing struggle. An ongoing struggle. There's something until death. You have to keep fighting yourself to perfect your character and continually polishing your character. Nurun ala nur. Allah says light upon light. This is not a temporary thing. Before you get married, while you're married, if you get divorced, your wife dies before you, your husband dies before you, you have to continue to work on your character. So, bidnai ta'ala, if you have a high sex drive or a lot of desires, strong desires, get married, bidnai ta'ala. And in your search for marriage, work on your character. You find a good spouse, work on your character, bidnai ta'ala. Or whether it's a brother or whether it's a sister, ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to give you the suitable spouse. And do the necessary things that you need to do with regards to finding that suitable spouse. Whether it is, if you're a man, making sure that you are financially stable, you have a place to live, you have a means of transportation, Whether it's a donkey, a camel, a mule, a llama, a bicycle, the train, the bus, a car, whatever is your means of transportation. Make sure that you have a bed to lay upon, basic food and drink, things like this. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, be righteous, be pious. Avoid the zina, avoid haram, lower your gaze. Keep asking Allah for that wife and looking in the proper places and the proper sources, word of mouth, networking, etc. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, what's written for you will come to you. The same applies for a husband and for a wife. Allah knows best.
Assalamu alaikum, Shah R. from Seattle, Washington. My dad wants me to go to a private school. It's a lot better than public schools, but my mom doesn't want me to go, and neither do I. There is like 4 to 5 Muslims there. Also, my sister goes there and she gets like 3 to 4 hours of homework and she can't focus on religious studies. I want to go to an Islamic school, or at least a public schools where there isn't much fitna. In addition, there's tons of Muslims and I can go to the mosque to pray Jummah from the public schools. In the private schools I visited, and none of the Muslims seem to be practicing, and they wear haram clothing. I am in 8th grade and the fitna affects me a lot and it really hurts my iman. I woke up with enough iman to pray tahajjud willingly and was excited. But now I don't even want to pray my prayers after coming from school. Please give me a fatwa and help me. Jazakallahu khair.
Where's the question from?
Seattle, Washington.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa laka kadhalik, or wa laki kadhalik. With regards to going to a public school or an Islamic school or going to a private school, my father wants me to go to the private school. Me, my mother want to go to the public school, the Islamic school. I can pray Jumu'ah. They're Muslims. It's not a fitna. I can practice my deen, etc. What was mentioned in the question of details. First of all, we make dua for you to give you that which is best for your deen and for your dunya. We also ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to give you the necessary patience. Thirdly, we say to you that you and your mother try to sit down with your father. If you have that type of relationship, try to talk with him. Try to reason with him. Try to have a friendly, warm, open discussion or debate on the issue. Public school, private school, Islamic school. What am I looking to get out of this school? What type of academic qualifications does it give me for college, so on and so forth? Deen, dunya, what's more important? What is expected of me? What do I want to be? What do you want to be when you grow up? All of these things have to be discussed. And if you have the ability to talk to your father or your mother, and your mother talks to your father, and they have the open relationship, then do that. If not, and your father, if he rules with this iron and says, you're going to the school, I'm paying for it, so on and so forth, and you feel that it's something that you cannot bear, and it's a means of decimating your deen, then don't obey your father and that which will destroy your religion. Try to speak with him, try to convince him, try to talk with him respectfully, humbly, and see what can be done. Only Allah knows what is in your heart of that which you cannot do, and it will destroy you. Don't do that. If it's something that won't destroy you, but it's just a presupposed fitna that you can bear, and the worldly benefit is far, far greater, then that's a different issue. Allah knows best.
Nasra M. from Haarlem, the Netherlands. How can you improve your concentration? I always lose my focus when I'm trying to memorize the Quran or mutun.
Question coming from the Netherlands with regards to concentration and focus. Losing concentration and focus pertaining to memorizing the Quran and memorizing mutun, the small books of knowledge. We've mentioned this in many classes, many lectures. Okay, the proper etiquettes of studying and keeping focus. In brief, one of the ways of keeping your focus and concentration is not to keep your focus and concentration. Don't think about it. You think about it too much. You become overconscious. And then you end up having your mind stray. Just be normal. Bismillah. Seek Allah's refuge from shaitan. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, start memorizing. The moment you feel your mind straying or swaying, put it back on the track. And don't think about it too much. Also, we think about where I should be and what I should have and how much I should know and how much I should memorize by now and this one and that one. There is no how it should be. As some of the wise people of the past have said, this is the greatest obstacle in the path of mastering an art, is thinking about perfection and thinking about what I should be doing and looking at others. Just do it. Bismillah. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is what caused you to have poor concentration? Do you have poor concentration in the worldly things as well? How you sleep, how you eat, where you live, what you do for a living? These things have to be taken into consideration as well. What's important is make it your daily goal to do a small portion of concentrated memorization each day. 10 minutes a day. Do that for a month. And then the next month you do 30 minutes. And you build gradually your concentration and your mental focusing or your mental powers of focus. And always make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is in brief. For detail, please go back to those other videos.
MT, London, UK. Can a sister ask her husband to divorce her if she is completely fed up with him due to a lack of compatibility and life goals, etc.?
Question coming from London with regards to a sister being totally fed up with her husband. Can she ask him to divorce her life goals, the religion, etc.? If she's not pleased with the husband's deen, she's not pleased with his character, she's not pleased with his physical makeup, whatever is causing her this major type of displeasure and lack of pleasure in the husband, she can ask for the divorce. Okay, she can ask for the divorce. Whether she asks him to give her the talaq, or whether he refuses to give her the talaq and she says, give me the khula, ransoms herself, etc. It's all permissible as long as there's a legitimate reason for the divorce. As long as there's a legitimate reason for the divorce. And the husband should be mindful of the woman's feelings and of the woman's disposition. He should be mindful. Certain things he has to be aware of and mindful of. And I don't think it takes a genius, Allah knows best, but I don't think it takes an absolute, rocket scientist to figure out when a woman is totally fed up and totally displeased. In most cases, it's obvious and plain. Sometimes it isn't as obvious and plain, or she's not totally fed up certain things. But if she's totally fed up and he's totally wronging her or not giving her what she needs and wants, that's pretty plain and obvious. So with that being said, the husband should be aware of this, and he should either try to rectify the situation or divorce her in kindness. Hold them in goodness or let them go in goodness. It's just that simple. Islam is just that simple. The human being, the Muslim, is the one who complicates the simplicity of Islam. Keep them in the right way, let them go in the right way. Khalas. We can't get along. I've tried. I love you, you love me. MashaAllah, we separate ways. You don't have to fight and scratch and claw at each other's eyes for 3 or 4, 5, 10 years. It's just that simple. Well, as long as it's legitimate. Allah knows best.
MT, London, UK. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Should you look at your index finger or place of sujood in tashahhud?
Question says, should you look at your index finger or place of sujood? Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully both of them are optional. Inshallah ta'ala. Hopefully both of them are optional with regards to looking at the point of sujood, looking at your finger, looking straight. And Allah knows best.
MS from London, UK. May Allah bless you, Mufti. What's your opinion on a fade haircut?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you as well. Question come from a disciple of London. What is your opinion on a fade haircut? Me personally, I don't think that a fade is haram. I don't think that it's haram. Now, there are different types of fades or tapered hairstyles, but the general concept of having hair higher and lower, I do not consider that to be haram. I don't consider that to be what's meant by al-qaza. And the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar, I don't consider that to be what's meant by al-qaza. And Allah knows best.
Salam Shamli Muhammad from Toronto, Canada. Is it permissible to sell kafar related holiday items like Christmas, Valentine's Day, Father's Day, Mother's Day, specialized gifts?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, coming from the lands of Canada. With regards to selling holiday-related items, St. Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, etc. Can you sell them to non-Muslims? I would say avoid that and stay away from that. Don't sell them those products. And my humble advice would be to sell the things that fall under the general needs, necessities, the shared unisex, spiritual unisex, I'm talking about things that the people need. A teapot. Muslims drink tea, non-Muslims drink tea. Tea being the second most widely consumed drink in the world, after water and before coffee. Everybody drinks tea. Sell tea, sell teapots. Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Jew, Christian, Kafir, whatever. Something pertaining to their holidays and their festive things, no. And Allah knows best.
Khidr Nasir from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Barakallahu Feek Mufti, may Allah preserve you. Is it permissible to sell Polaroid cameras? My fear is that it may lead to printing pictures of living beings.
Question coming from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. May Allah grant you success. And all hadith disciples in Malaysia. Selling a Polaroid camera, is it permissible? I fear that they'll be taking pictures or images of living things. If you consider taking a picture of a living thing to be haram, then it's haram to sell it. Because in most cases, that's what people want to take with those cameras. People using a Polaroid camera for a landscape or a tree or a river or a lake or a mountain range, in my humble opinion, is far-fetched. A Polaroid camera gives you the image, you take it out, you shake it, it's done. In most cases, it's going to be for a human being or someone on top of a horse or an animal, a camel, on Hajj or whatever the case may be. So with that being said, and that's what you consider to be haram, then don't sell a Polaroid camera. Allah knows best.
M.A. Liverpool, UK. Is it permissible for a male to have a female tutor at home for my school studies help? Should I refuse if my parents force me?
With regards to a female tutor for a male or vice versa at home, me personally, I wouldn't advise with it. I wouldn't recommend it at all. Whereas you're going to be sitting with this person for a long time. Only Allah knows you're going to be by yourself in the house. Or even if the other people are in the house, you're in the kitchen, sitting at the table, in the living room. They walk up the steps, they walk out. How old is the tutor? How young is the student, etc. Physical attraction, shaitan. I wouldn't advise with it. It's just a simple mathematical equation. A man, a woman, a man, sitting, talking, studying. Someone is doing good for you, helping you out, seeing you progress, being kind to you, so on and so forth. And Allah knows best. In most cases, in due time, it's only going to lead to some type of feeling. And Allah knows best. Even if she's older and you're younger, I wouldn't advise with it unless it's a necessity. Or even if the person is extremely old and you're extremely young. The concept of molestation, pedophilia, and things like this. Even though those things can happen with same-sex tutors. They can happen with the same-sex tutor, no doubt. A man can molest a boy, waliyadhu billah. A woman can be a lesbian and try to convert the young sister to lesbianism. It can happen. So no matter what the case, the people have to be careful. They have to be mindful. The tutor should be someone who's trustworthy. Someone who has some type of integrity, Muslim or non-Muslim. Some type of integrity, some type of history, some type of record for being good and upright. Okay? If it's a fitna and you fear and you know yourself, or you know that the tutor, she's a very attractive woman. It's very common. People, they go to school and they have a crush. It's well known on their teachers. She's 35 or 30. You're 10 or 11 or 12. It's well known. And you feel like you're going to fall into zina, then try to get your parents to get you out of that. And Allah knows best.
A, Toronto, Canada. A sister asked, can her Muslim son in 20s be alone with his non-Muslim father's girlfriend, known as common law? when he visited their home? Barakallahu feek.
Coming from Toronto, Canada, Fikum Barakallah, with regards to one's 20-year-old son and being alone with his father's girlfriend. Yani, in Islam, a girlfriend is not a wife. It's not a right-hand possession. So the nature of the relationship is illegitimate. And if the nature of the relationship is illegitimate, then the rulings of what is and what isn't, a mahram, khalwa, seclusion, traveling, etc., don't necessarily apply. They don't necessarily apply. So let's look at it like this. Is she his stepmother? No, she's not. Islamically, she isn't. Are they married in a secular court? You said there's a girlfriend, so she still is not considered his stepmother. But the concept of him visiting his father, he's grown, she's grown, him seeing, I mean, you know, you have to look at the situation. You can't be alone with the woman. Does the ex-husband, the father, agree to that? Will he be cut off from his father? What is the nature of this woman? These are things that have to be taken into consideration living in a secular country. All right? What's important is the ruling of Allah and His Messenger is clear. The different details of the situation from time to time, place to place, is a different story. Look at the situation. Try to avoid this situation and not to be alone with that woman. Speaking to the father, the ex-husband, whatever can be done. Allah knows best.
Badr Wahid from Philadelphia, PA. Assalamu alaikum, powerful brother. What is some du'as and dirk which shall impact the heart, speech and actions, which can be used daily, inshallah? Love and miss you, old head.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Badr, the true powerful brother. He knows what that means. There's a long story, inside joke with regards to that term, powerful brother. What's important is we miss you too, Akhi. May Allah bless you and your children and your family as well. Yani, the general concept of strengthening the heart, cleansing the heart, purifying the soul through the supplications of Islam, there are many. There are many. The book Hisn al-Muslim, the fortification of the Muslim, is an excellent source. We always advise students of knowledge and layman Muslims to go back to that book and to memorize it and to keep it with them as their pocket book. Keep it as your pocket book. Even though you've memorized it, read it for everything you do. Eat, sleep, drink, travel, etc. In general or in brief, there are many du'as. The Sayyid al-Istighfar, saying that at night time, saying that in the morning time, is the most powerful du'a. Attributing that you're a slave of Allah, that you're weak, that you wrong yourself, and that you return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The dua of the sujood, asking Allah to make your heart firm, for He is the one who makes the hearts firm. He is the one who turns the hearts. Okay? There are many supplications found in the kitab and found in the sunnah. All of them are powerful. All of them are impactful. These are just a few that you can keep as, you know, say a one-hitter. Bidnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah knows best. Powerful brother.
Aisha, Oslo, Norway. Assalamu alaikum. How should one deal with an emotionally abusive mother? I know the rights of the mother in Islam, but sometimes it's difficult to fulfill these rights because of this.
Question coming from Aisha from Oslo, Norway, with regards to an emotionally abusive mother and how to deal with her and making it difficult with regards to fulfilling the rights of the mother, etc. First and foremost is as-sabr. You got to be patient. Your mother was patient upon you when you were younger. She was patient upon you, whether she was there from day one and took care of you or whether she wasn't there. She definitely gave birth to you. Only Allah knows the physical, mental, psychological things that she had to go through with carrying another human being in her stomach, her body, her belly for 9 months. What it did to her body, her mind, only Allah knows. Restless nights, sleepless nights, morning sickness, her body changing, mood swings, cravings at night. And she was patient upon that. She gave birth to you. So you have to be patient upon some of her harm and some of her shortcomings and some of her flaws. That's first and foremost. كما ربياني صغيرا. Alright? After that, ask Allah to rectify your mother. Ask Allah to reward your mother well, to bless her for what she has done for you. Ask Allah to give her Jannah. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to rectify and mend her shortcomings and her rough edges. Thirdly, talk to your mother. Speak to her. Go cry to her and tell her how much she hurts you and how bad it makes you feel when she says these things or does these things to you. If the emotional abuse is too bad and too severe and you can't take it, then you may have to remove yourself from that situation and not necessarily remove yourself from the service and dutifulness to your mother. Inshallah ta'ala. Allah knows best.
MB, Brampton, Ontario. Is it permissible to talk directly with someone you plan on marrying through social media?
Coming from Ontario, with regards to talking to someone directly that you plan on marrying through social media. If I said no, what will that change? Will the people refrain from it and stop doing it? Can the people stay away from social media? One of the most, especially in 2018, not the most, but one of the most effective ways of getting married and finding someone compatibility is through social media. So what will happen if you say, no, you cannot contact the sister? You have to have a wali in the room when you text her or WhatsApp her or Skype her or Vibe her or whatever verb that you use. Facebooking a sister. Is that practical? Every single time you talk to her that a wali has to be there looking at your screen? The wali has to have the phone, has to have the number. If you email the sister, you have to CC the sister. Is that practical? Or you contacting a sister with the knowledge and the permission of the wali and the respected boundaries, respected times. Let's be a little real. Speaking to the sister in the daytime is one thing. Not saying that you can't fall into something bad in the daytime. It's not the same as you talking to sister at 2 a.m. in the morning. You're laying in the bed, she's laying in the bed. What are you wearing? I'm in my jammies, you're in Allahu Alam. Shaitan is going to be there. So we need to be mindful of this. Be mindful of this, and the best thing is the balance. The wali knows, the sister's parents or family, etc. Respectable times, respectable words. In the moment you start feeling that connection and that electricity and this and that, pull yourself out of that situation. And try your best to hasten the marriage as long as it is good. As long as, inshallah ta'ala, it's a means of goodness and compatibility. And Allah knows best.
K.A. Milton Keynes, England, UK. Can a father who had a child out of wedlock give her out in marriage? Does she have to wear hijab around him? Is it permissible for a woman to ask her husband for favor before or after intimacy because he is more likely to agree to what she asks?
Allahu Akbar. Tayyib. Where's the question from?
Milton Keynes, England, UK.
Tayyib. Milton Keynes, England, UK. As far as a man who has an illegitimate daughter, the question says, she grows up, can he marry her off? Does she have to cover in front of him? I.e., is he a mahram? Are they mahrams, like we previously explained? Also, the second part of the question, can a woman ask her husband for something after they have sexual intercourse because he's more likely to agree what? Afterwards. Or before, etc. At the end of the day, like we previously explained, if a man has an illegitimate child, then the general rule, we say the scholars of Islam, they say the general rule is that the rulings of mahramiyah, being a mahram, vice versa, don't apply in general, because it's illegitimate. And the child is attributed to the father through legitimate sexual intercourse. Marriage, right hand possession, nothing else is legitimate in the deen. With regards to a man sleeping with a woman, vice versa. So a man has illegitimate sexual intercourse from zina. He has a child, she grows up, she's Muslim, she's practicing, beautiful child, respectable child, she loves her father. I'll say this, with a little bit of extra time on the clock, I'll say this. Many people, they make a capital mistake here. Several capital mistakes. Just because a person is a child from zina, does not negate the fact that this child is the child of the father. This is your father. There is no, it's not my father. That's not my daughter because from zina. Who said that? What hadith says that? That there's not your child. Who said that? No, whoever said that? The Islamic rights, obligations, lineage, mahramiyah, that's one thing. Well, who said that that's not your child? And the child looks just like you, spitting image of you. And said, no, that's not my daughter, that's not my father. Who said that? من قال هذا من أهل العلم. Who from the people of knowledge ever said this? Many people, they make this problem in the West. Number two, I can make zina, I can have a baby, I don't have to take care of it because they say a child of the bed, which is also a misunderstanding that we've explained before. It's a child of the bed. I don't have to pay child support. I don't have to do this. I don't have to visit them. So then that allows people to continue to be lax with what? With zina. And they keep sleeping around, having children because they're not my Islamic children. And it becomes a game. It becomes a joke. So we have to be mindful of this. Whether it is from marriage or zina, لا شك أن هذا الرجل قد تسبب في وجود هذه البنت. The man is a reason behind this girl existing. He is a reason behind this girl existing. So there cannot be, it's irrational, it cannot be logical in Islam for this, there be no connection whatsoever. Let alone living in a Western country and a secular nominal society. I have nothing to do with you, you have nothing to do with me. Is Islam teach us to cut off ties like that? Zina or not? Christian grandmother or not? Don't visit her on Christmas. This holiday, Thanksgiving, so on and so forth. Does Islam say you don't visit her at all? Don't have dinner with her at all? You can't have the non-dhabiha food. Buy her dhabiha chicken. Zabiha turkey. Give her halal bacon and come have her breakfast with her. Doesn't have to be on Sunday morning, Saturday morning, Friday morning. So oftentimes we become bewildered with this false fiqh and fake piety. So the girl is a Muslim. She's a Muslimah. She's grown. She wants to practice. She wants to be upon the deen. Who better to marry her off than her father? From zina or not? The scholars of Islam, they don't agree on who can and cannot be the wali and everything. Some of them say the father, the son, the grandfather. They differ on that issue. Very, very long issue in which many points are not clearly factually proven from direct hadiths. But it's istinbat and ijtihad. They deduce from the rulings of inheritance. Who gets this? Who deserves to be a wali? And that's why they differ on that. And if it was concrete, pure evidence, then they wouldn't differ on who is to be the wali. Let alone the fact that a man can be the wali of a woman who isn't related to her, who isn't the mahram of her, like the community leader, like an imam, like a ruler, like a judge. So hypothetically speaking, a 19-year-old sister, her wali from the masjid, a brother that she doesn't know, or the man that looks just like her, talks, walks the same big toes, same thumb, same ears and eyes as her. Who's better to be the wali? No question. And perhaps, and Allah knows best, this is a means of him expiating that sin and doing away with that mistake that he made and further helping to cultivate this young girl that came from zina. And just because a child from zina is a child of zina does not mean that they're cursed. And that hadith is not authentic. That a child of zina will not enter paradise, or they're cursed. Awlad zina. Let alone the fact and misinterpretation of that hadith. Someone who keeps making zina is not like a child that is innocent. What did I have to do? I didn't force my parents to sleep with each other. I was born into this world. وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. So a child from zina may grow up to be righteous. And a child from marriage may grow up to be a fasiq. His name is Salih. From Zawaj, he doesn't pray, he doesn't fast, he's evil. Smokes, drinks, tattoos, sleeps around. And it may be a child from zina that may have an interest and a taste and a feather for the deen, and may be more righteous than a child that was born and raised up and grew up in an Islamic environment, Islamic school. This is the reality of life. This is the reality of life. All right? So with that being said, her uncovering in front of him, most of the ulama of Islam, they say that a man is not allowed to marry his daughter from zina. Period. He is not allowed to marry his daughter from zina. Even though it's illegitimate relationship, proving what I just said. Even though it's still an illegitimate break, but it's still, look at him, look at her, this is his father. Everybody understand this? And there's some of them, a small minority, who say that he can marry his daughter from zina. Because there is no mahramiyah. It's not from zawaj. It's not from right-hand possession, concubinage. So therefore, it's haram. If it's haram, as if it's what? Meaningless. It doesn't matter. She's not your real daughter in Islam. All right? So with regards to her being uncovered in front of him, the most of the ulama of Islam, they say he cannot marry her. I.e., as if he is her mahram. There's no doubt about her being a father. He fell into the same mistake that the people fall into. No doubt that that's the father. Look at the spitting image. That's my daughter. It's well known. I was with your mother in the 70s, and you came along. Everybody understand this is reality. So therefore, him marrying her off, we've explained that. Her uncovering in front of him, perhaps, inshallah, we've explained that. As far as asking your husband for something before or after intercourse, then that depends on your husband. And it depends on what you're asking for. It's well known, human psychology. Certain people say yes or no to certain things at certain times. You may ask your parents for a new skateboard in the morning. Your father's out the door going to work. You may say no. And you may catch him coming home after eating his dinner. Dad, I want a new skateboard. Abby, buy me a new skateboard. Oh, go ahead, son. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're not trying to trick and deceive anybody. Talking to somebody when they're half asleep. Excuse my French, as they say, talking about intimacy, pillow talk. A woman, she talks to her husband before he goes to sleep. They have intercourse, they make love, they're about to go to sleep, and then she starts talking to him about major things, asking him secrets and all types of stuff. The husband just had intercourse, he wants to go to sleep, whatever the case may be, and he just starts mumbling and rambling and saying anything. You have to be mindful of that, trying to cheat somebody. Or one may say it's not cheating, but his guard is down, his defenses are down. Bismillah, I want to know this. And what happened with brother Fulan at the masjid? What did you and Mufti talk about tonight? And such and such. If you're weak and that's how you are and that's what you do, then that's your problem. And it's not necessarily the fault of the woman. What's important is if you're asking something which is halal, something that's permissible, and you know of a more appropriate time, la bas. There's nothing wrong with that. But be mindful, inshallah ta'ala. Allah knows best.
Hi B, London, UK. Assalamu alaikum. What is your view on voting in elections in America or even UK?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's your view on voting or elections in America or even in the UK? Like we said before, my opinion is that is details. It has to be details. Certain times I would say voting is obligatory. Certain times I would say voting is haram. Can't do it. Other times I may say or I may feel voting could go this way or could go that way. I may say some Muslims have to vote. Not all, but some do. And some Muslims should avoid voting, avoid politics. The general rule is Muslims living in abundance. And not just living in abundance, but also dying in abundance. In America and the UK. Marrying, having children, raising families, owning businesses, all of these different things. Islam is not just a small, tiny thing anymore in the West. It's big. It's a huge movement. Muslims coming from the indigenous people of the UK or America. America, talking about my country, whether it's black, white, or Muslims that are second and third generation from Muslim countries, or other indigenous Muslims, whether they're actual people are Puerto Rican, Dominican, okay, Mexican, things like this, all right? The actual indigenous people of the country, quote unquote Native American, not saying that black and white people aren't necessarily indigenous too. That's a long discussion with regards to who are the indigenous people of America. But we're talking about what's traditionally orthodox, what's taught. A Native American, a Native Indian, people that don't come from a Muslim country. Or whether it's the Muslims that come from Pakistan or Bangladesh or Kuwait or Iraq or Palestine, and the list goes on. It's a big thing. So how is it possible for the Muslims to be in numbers, hundreds, thousands, millions, and them not to have any type of political activity, involvement at all? Is that feasible? What is the purpose of politics? What is the purpose of courts and the court system? For people to get their necessary rights. So the Muslims are to have babies, open businesses, eat, drink, have janazas, and just totally avoid society. That's something that needs to be carefully investigated and thought about critically. Allah knows best. It's my humble opinion.
Assalamu alaikum from Kosovo, Albania. After Surah Fatiha, when we are in Salah and we want to start a surah from the middle, should we say the Bismillah or to seek refuge from the shaitan or nothing?
Question coming from Albania, Kosovo, Albania. Salams, give salutations and greetings to the hadith disciples in Albania as well. When you recite Surah Al-Fatiha and you want to recite another surah afterwards, you don't necessarily, or you should necessarily seek refuge in Allah from shaitan a second time. Do that in the first rak'ah. As far as saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, then you should say that silently, bid'nai ta'ala, before you recite the next surah, inshaAllah ta'ala. Allah surely knows best.
LC, Newcastle, England. Is it permissible for two married couples to have a meal together, inviting them to your home for food or going out and so on? Is the ruling different if there is no attraction?
Newcastle, UK?
No.
With regards to having a couple, a husband and wife coming over, you going out like a double dating type of thing, huh? As they say, right? You and your wife, and him and his wife, right? Is it permissible even if there's no attraction? It being permissible is one thing, and it be something which is advised or ill-advised is totally different. Even if a person says it's permissible, there's no seclusion, there's no khalwa, there is no man and woman, there's 4 people in the room, there's no attraction, I'm covered, she's covered, etc. We all have general respect, we're sitting across each other from the table. Even if, I never said it was, but even if a person says it's permissible, it doesn't mean it's the best thing to do. Because when you eat, you drink, you laugh, you joke, you smile, and the defenses go down. And then there's a little smile. You see her smile. You know she covered her body, but her face is out. You see how pretty her teeth are. Or she likes your smile as a man. Or she smells your cologne. You're sitting close to somebody. You see her fingers, her fingertips, this and that. These little things, they happen. You start joking, you start laughing. You start becoming a bit laxed. And so you may think that you're not attracted to the person. That doesn't mean the person isn't attracted to you. Nor does it mean that the shaitan is attracted to you both. Everybody understand this? The shaitan is attracted to you going to the fire. Waliyadhu billah. So be mindful of that. Of laughing and joking unnecessarily. Flirting. Certain people are just flirts. Naturally. Some brothers, you go somewhere with them, they have to what? Gotta flirt. Whoever it is, they gotta talk to them, laugh, smile. They just can't help it. So you have to be mindful of this, ikhwan and akhawat. Even if it's permissible, be what? Be mindful of this. Don't put yourself in that dangerous situation. And Allah knows best.
MS, London, UK. May Allah accept from you, Mufti. What's your opinion on pictures that stay virtually without getting printed?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ameen. Jazakallah khairan. My humble opinion, from studying the speech of the people of knowledge, is that taking a photograph or video is not haram. As long as the content of the photograph or the video is Islamically accepted or acceptable, it's not an issue of pornography or indecency, debauchery, whatever the case may be, then I humbly feel it's permissible to take a photograph, whether it's virtual or whether it is actually printed out. And Allah knows best.
LC, Newcastle, England. While saving money up, is it better to have the intention that it is for Hajj or Umrah? As Umrah is more affordable, but Hajj is obligatory. Jazakallahu khairan.
First and foremost, as we say before, the cup must be emptied. Who said the Umrah is not obligatory? Who said that Umrah is not obligatory? That's coming to the table with the pre-assumption. Secondly is, no doubt, Hajj, according to all of the ulama, is obligatory, a pillar of Islam. And Umrah isn't necessarily the case. Some say it is, and they have their proofs and they have their evidences. But what's important is, ask yourself the question, how quick does your money flow? What type of job do you have? How long does it take you to save up 10,000 pounds or dollars or rupees or whatever the case may be, euros. How long does it take to get you to have this amount of money? I can save $10,000 in a year. 6 months, some brothers, mashallah. 2 years, 10 years, Allah alam. So if you feel confident that your money is flowing, even if you're not rich or wealthy, but you have a good job, you have your expenses taken care of, so on and so forth, then that's one thing. Perhaps it's best to make umrah first, to give yourself a taste, to give yourself a little bit of experience, and also bigger than that, to get yourself hooked on a spiritual experience. Wow, you know what it's like, la ilaha illallah, to go and see the Kaaba the first time in your life. You've been Muslim your whole life, and now you're right there. Ibrahim, Adam, Muhammad, the Sahaba, subhanAllah. It's indescribable, breathtaking. So you may go and make umrah, which is not necessarily obligatory to these scholars, costs less, you can do it any time of the year, that's important as well. You may not have the ability to have a vacation during the Hajj season, but you have a vacation for umrah. And then you go there and you get infected. As we say, you drink the water. And now you say, I have to come back here. I gotta go back. The Kaaba, the Holy Lands, the Prophet's Masjid, being in a place in which is all Muslims. That has an effect upon your mind, your body, and your soul. So sometimes it's advised to make umrah first to get yourself hooked. And then you go back, you'll work, you'll save, you'll manage, you'll cut off this bill, this phone, I don't need this extra line, I don't need this TV program, I don't need this pair of shoes. And you start really busting your hump to save for Hajj. Sometimes that's best. Allah knows best.
Salam Sheikh Shamli Muhammad again, Toronto, Canada. What is the systematic way to study hadith in terms of which field within hadith to begin with and which books to study?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Shamli, you have officially reached your hadith disciple limit for questions tonight. Next question.
MS, Washington, D.C. If I am fond of intricately patterned socks and don't have a problem with concentration in that sense, should I cover them when in prayer to not distract those next to me?
Question says, where's the question from?
MS, Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. With regards to finally, it said intricate socks, intricately knitted socks, and pattern socks. It doesn't distract me, but does it distract other people in the salat? Should I cover them up, etc.? Alhamdulillah, I feel the same. I like nice socks, whether they're plain or whether they're argyles. That's the official hadith disciple sock style, argyle socks. We wear other socks as well, but argyle is the what? That's the T for the feet, argyle socks. Different color socks, pink socks, even though some people refuted me for that. So you can't wear pink. It's haram to wear pink. Yellow socks, black socks, blue socks, etc. Some brothers may say green socks, polka dot socks in Canada. At the end of the day, if it doesn't distract you, then tayyib. But if you know that these yellow and black socks distract you, I remember one time, I was in Canada, in Toronto, and I had some Pittsburgh Pirate socks on. And anyone who knows about the Pittsburgh Pirates, the baseball team, knows that it's black, yellow, and white. Hadith disciple colors. So they were argyle socks, and they were bright yellow, and the P and everything on the socks. So one day I was in the masjid, Abu Hurairah Center, and I was praying next to Abu Usama al-Dhahabi. And Allah bless him and reward him well. So we spoke, shook hands, then we make salah together. After the salah, he gave me a shake, says, you know what, Mufti? He said, those socks distracted me in the salat. They were killing me in the salat. You messed up my whole salat. That's what he said to me. Abu Usama. So at the end of the day, that's a real life story. How the socks may not bother you, but it may bother someone else. So if you come into the masjid, bring a pair of khufs. Put the khufs over your socks. Take the khufs off, and you can have your stylish socks afterwards. If it's a crazy psychedelic color or pattern, pink, yellow, this, that, then be mindful of that, because it could be a means of distraction for somebody. And we all know the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ with regards to things which are a means of distraction in the salah. Whether it's a garment, whether it's a prayer rug, whether it's calligraphy, and the list goes on. That's a true story about the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Allah knows, it doesn't get realer than that.
I remember a few times when kids were here, they thought it was
Next question.
They thought it was the Steelers.
SB, Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykhuna. May Allah protect you. Any tips or advice in regards to how a student can show their teacher that they are serious about knowledge?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Barakallahu fiqh. Wa waffaqak li kulli khair. I mean, how can a student knowledge show his teacher that he's serious? You shouldn't worry about that. Just be serious. That's it. Be real. You don't have to do it for anybody. You don't have to prove it to anybody. What is real is going to manifest itself. What is fake is also going to manifest itself. Kalas. This iron teapot here, I pour water on it. 5 years go by, 10 years go by, 20 years go by, 50 years go by. The quality of the steel, the quality of the iron, the metal will become manifest. It's poor, it's going to become manifest. It's good, it's going to become what? Manifest. That's it. Don't worry about trying to show anyone. If you ask someone to teach you and they refuse, ask them again. Or ask her again. If someone refuses you because they don't think that you're serious, then keep asking, keep requesting them. And if they ask you and request you, what are you going to do? How committed are you going to be? What can you prove? Then that's a different story. And what you say, or say, I'll put me on a probation, Sheikh. I promise, 40 days straight, I'll come to the class and I won't ask any question. If I miss one class, kick me out the class. After the 40 days, you have to take me as your student. Mathalan, as an example. Mathalan. Or give me a chore. Give me a task. I say, look, you want to study with me, Ahmed? Take 5 minutes of faida and transcribe every class. Every 5 minutes of faida. There's over 100 of them. Transcribe all of them. Once you transcribe them, come back to me and I'll think about teaching you Arabic. I'll what? I'll think about it. The one who transcribes all of those lectures, those 5-minute lectures, and does them without demanding or begging, what's the chances of this person being a dropout student? What's the chances of this person not being dedicated and serious? And that's why we always talk about disciplism, hadith disciple, as a school of thought. We talk about martial arts. It is an integral part of any type of apprenticeship, especially from Eastern arts, is that the student does not just become the student overnight. Not because you ask or you say that you're serious, but they are giving jobs and tasks that show many, many things. It's not just about service or slavery, do this and do that. No. But it's a means of showing your dedication and that you're going to work hard. What are the chances of someone going through this for months and years to go by and you just give them this, if that, and then the person not being serious? It's very low percentage. But accepting anybody, taking anybody, come on aboard just like that, you have no way of sifting the good from the bad, the flower from the weed. But that's not your job. Your job is to be sincere for Allah and to be honest in what you are. If you're requested or demanded to show some type of seriousness, then that's a what? Different story. But don't go trying to show and prove anything to anybody from the beginning, because that can harm your intentions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.
Muhammad Salama, Port Said, Egypt. Is it permissible that I don't look at my finger during the sitting of prayer despite the fact that the Prophet ﷺ looked only at his finger?
Once more, we say we welcome all questions, but with the condition and the rule. And we don't necessarily bring pre-assumptions to the Q&A table. Did the Prophet ﷺ look only at his finger? That's first and foremost. Secondly is everything that the Prophet ﷺ did in his prayer obligatory? Many things the Prophet did in his salah, and his ijma', consensus of all of the ulama, that is an obligatory. And Allah knows best. This will conclude our question-and-A session tonight, Q&A marathon. May Allah bless all of the sisters and all of the brothers who asked questions and having good thoughts of us, hoping for us to give you some type of benefit. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make us much more than what you think we are. Jazakumullahu khairan.